Welcome to this edition of the Kids Ministry Collective podcast, where we talk about topics and resources that help you lead more to reach more. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this edition of the Kids Ministry Collective podcast. And welcome to another episode of the Kids Ministry Collective podcast. My name's Tom Bump, and I'm your host. Thanks for joining me, my friends. I am looking forward to this episode as we dig into about visual media and about using it in churches and why it's important for us to use this, especially in the digital age with so many kids getting connected digitally at younger ages. We need to start thinking as leaders about new innovative ways to communicate. And so my good friend from Church Visuals is back with me on the podcast. This is the first time as Church Visuals, because before I've had you on and you were the other name, but we won't mention it because that name's gone. But Carl Barnhill, welcome back to the Kid Ministry Collective podcast.
Thank you, Tom. So I know that I'm your favorite guest. So I'll say that so that you don't have to. That's okay, with me, that you admit that privately, that I am your favorite out of all guests ever that you've had.
Sure. Whatever you say for right now. You're my favorite guest right now. That's for sure.
Glad to be with you, buddy. Thanks for having me on.
Hey, all right. Well, we got lots to dive into because this is a fun topic to talk about, and so you know the drill. We always start off with a why question, and so I'm just curious what your perspective is on why visuals matter when it comes to presenting the gospel to kids, specifically, since most of the audience are kids pastors, family pastors. Why do visuals matter? What's so important about it? Why can't I just storytell and stand in front and hold my Bible and read, "Thus saith the Lord"?
Yeah, I believe your visuals matter because the gospel matters. So with visual media, are these tools that are going to replace the teacher, replace the discipler? Absolutely not. The relationship matters, and it's the Holy Spirit that does the work, not a video. However, I believe that visual media, graphics and video are tools that you can use to communicate the gospel to your kids, to make the gospel more memorable, more sticky, more to understand it more, to understand these stories more. If I can have a visual that, okay, now I'm in the world. And this came from Jesus, right? Jesus used parables all the time to go, hey, the kingdom of heaven is like this. Kingdom of heaven is like that. It's not like that. And it was these stories that were visual. Okay, I can visualize this gardener or this farmer or this guy with the coins or this and that. It was a visual way to teach his audience what the kingdom of heaven was like. And I think that visual tools in today's age are the same. Graphics and video are a means or a tool to help communicate the gospel, the greatest story of all. Also, too, the generation that is, Gen Z, Gen Alpha, even millennials, these are technology natives. These kids are growing up on technology. They're growing up in the fully digital age. Mm-hmm. And graphics and video are a way that they are used to communicating. It's their means of how they gather information. It's their means of communicating with their friends. If you have a friend online, it's not the same as in person, but I'll put it this way. I have a group of people that I've hired and have been on my team for years that I've never met in person. And I call them very close friends, and so this is the way that the generations coming behind us are communicating and gathering their information. And then the stats on retaining that information. So I'll give you a stat here. So 65% of adults retain more information when that information is paired with a visual.
Wow.
That percentage goes up by 10 if we're talking about kids. So if you show kids a visual, they retain that information 75% more than
Wow.
just text or just talking to them.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
matter because the gospel matters.
Yeah. There's a mic drop moment right there. That's tweetable even, but, or Xable, I guess. Whatever. But yeah, I mean, yeah, Jesus used visual. He used objects, human objects, but he used physical objects. The olive tree, the
Yeah.
wheat branch. I mean, you name it. Yeah, he uses those things, and it makes it stick, and his message mattered, and that's why he put it out there. So that's really solid. So when it comes to using media in children's ministry, what are some of the healthier trends you're seeing? How are people using it in a good way? I'm going to bring up some negative things, but I want to start off with the positive today. How are you seeing it being used in a good way?
Well, I don't want to repeat myself here, but I would say that the best way to use visual media in kids ministry is to use it to supplement the story that you're trying to deliver.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't replace the teacher. It helps supplement and reinforce the story taught by the teacher.
Right.
So that's the best way. So it can get attention. So if your kids are in the room and they're playing, if you put a countdown timer on the screen with some fun games inside of that countdown, it's an attention getter to help bring and focus them. If you're using a worship lyric video or a game or a mini movie, it not only focuses their attention, it allows you to either give you a jumping off point for what you're about to teach, or if you've taught something, it reinforces what you just taught. And they don't have to be long. Again, we're not replacing you as the teacher. We're not replacing the worship leader, or the relationship, the disciple, the mentor. All those have to be there. But visual media can be a tool to supplement. So I'm always curious if a picture is worth 1,000 words, which in preparing for workshops and stuff like that, another stat for you is that our brain processes a visual 60,000 times faster than text.
Wow.
So is a picture worth 1,000 words? Well, I can actually make an argument that a picture is worth 60,000 words, because our brain can recognize a visual faster than it takes you to say something and me to process that and
Right.
figure it out. Even though we're talking about very, very quickly with both, it's still a visual is 60,000 times faster. So here, in a way, I'm curious why. So pastors talk 30 to 40 minutes a week on Sunday. We talk a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you're a teacher, I would say, or a pastor, my suggestion would be break up your teaching into smaller segments. Teach for a bit, have a visual for a bit. Teach for a bit, have a visual. That will break it up. That will keep the attention, and it will. The science shows that. The research shows that one, they're processing that visual information a whole lot faster than just you speaking or them reading something on a piece of paper. And it helps keep their attention focused to where they'll stay with you.
Yeah. That's really good. And I think especially with this generation, these last two generations, being that they grew up with electronics in their hand, watching videos, living on YouTube, learning from YouTube, we have to change up some of the methodology. We just have to. And I think there's leaders that are saying they have discipline problems. And I taught this years ago when I would teach a class on discipline and crowd control, or whatever you want to call it, room control. And oftentimes I said the number one problem, it's not what you're teaching, it's how you're teaching it. I have seen leaders tell wonderful stories only to lose the group because they told the story with nothing else. They didn't have any kind of visual, a picture, and they didn't have anything. It was just them telling a story. And they lost the room, or they talked too long without any kind of transition or without any way to change it up. And with attention spans going smaller and smaller, as research has been showing, we've got to think about some of the ways that we're teaching, and we've got to start looking at how kids learn. So yeah, you're right. Seeing it, touching it, feeling it, smelling it, tasting it, all those. I mean, God gave us all those senses. Why? Because that's how we learn. And so why aren't we doing that more? Why are we intimidated and afraid of it replacing us? It's not replacing it, it's enhancing what we do. It's making us more effective in what we
Yeah.
do, right?
Yeah. So we were talking before we started recording. You helped my family with some travel arrangements. You do some
Yep.
travel agent stuff on the side,
Yep.
and you helped us with our vacation that we just took maybe a month ago. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because we went to Universal Studios and Disney, and some of the rides there that were most memorable are the rides that tap into multiple senses.
Yes.
So, and those are usually the most popular as well. The rides that I'm going to move my body and maybe a 3D glasses, so the characters are coming out of the screen and I'm
Mm-hmm.
interacting in it, and also too, maybe a burst of heat or a drop or water
Yeah.
or sounds. It's
Yep.
very experiential. It's very
Yes.
interactive. I'm not saying that we need to, have roller coasters in our church parking lots. That's not what I'm saying. Or am I saying that we're here to entertain? Because I don't think that that's true either. What I am saying is, can we find ways, like you mentioned, to tap into more senses than just the spoken word when it
Yeah.
comes to reaching the next generations? I think it will be more memorable.
Oh, I definitely think. I mean, since we're on that, so I mean, that's the ride Soarin' that takes you on that flight around the world, and as you're going through, you can smell. I mean, they have incorporated smells. There's feel there because you can feel the breeze or you can feel the spray. Thankfully, when you're going through the desert, they don't throw sand in your face, but you can kind of smell the dryness, and there is a whole attention to those kind of details. And I think there are simple ways to do those kind of things in teaching, but the visual, the media is a powerful thing. And like we were just talking about, but some leaders struggle with this because they're afraid th're going to get over it's too overwhelming or it's too hard to do. So what are some of the other struggles, and why do you think some of the leaders struggle? We kind of hit on the fear of being replaced, but what are some of
Yeah.
the other struggles, and what are some of the things that you think, why do we not want to use some of those?
Well, I think the opposite's true on fear to be replaced too. That like you don't need to just push play and watch a 30-minute video and you be lazy
Yeah,
or
yes,
you not
yes.
think that you need to lean into teaching. I think that both are true. You can be fear of replace and also lackadaisical in using a
Ooh,
video to
yeah,
replace.
there you go.
Um,
Okay.
so neither are good. But what are some of the other struggles that I think some of the technology can be overwhelming.
Mhm.
I don't even know where to start. We don't even have a screen, or how do I work the presentation software, or what present or cost. So I think
Yeah.
the overwhelming technology is a piece, and I think that, oh well, we just can't afford it. It is a piece too. And I think both of those at Church Visuals, we're trying to combat those things
Yes.
by offering a bunch of free training.
Yep.
So free courses on ProPresenter, or free podcasts and articles on, okay, you don't even have screens. Where do you start? Here is step by step how you start.
Yeah.
All that's
Right.
completely free. So we're trying to take those, away from you to go, here you go. You can do
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
And also the affordability. I mean, I think with us and others in the space, I mean, we're trying to make things, and I know the other vendors in the space, we're trying to make things as super affordable as possible.
Hmm.
You can go onto our site and get a graphic for $5, a video for $10, $15. if you need something a la carte. And that's why when I'll kind of peel back the curtain here, when we're wrestling with, okay, we went through we rebuilt our website last year from the ground up. And the questions in that just broke my brain because there were so many decisions to make. And one of those decisions were, okay, is everything subscription, or do we need to do a la carte and subscription? How does that change the price of development? But more importantly, what is the customer after?
Yeah.
And so we're trying to make those decisions from a vendor standpoint to go, well, I don't necessarily want to lock them into a subscription because there are smaller churches that need to be able to afford a $5 thing and not have to lock into a subscription, even if they can't afford the $200 or $300 a year. So there are decisions that we're trying to make to go, okay, how can we make this more affordable, easier to access? And so, like, you could go onto our site and purchase a graphic for $5 and in one click download it straight to your computer and done. So we're trying to solve those things for you guys so that those pieces are easier. We're trying to offer free training to ProPresenter and other presentation apps to go, okay, how do I? So we're trying to take those pieces away, but I do think that those are struggles for leaders. How do the technology is overwhelming. I don't even know how to do it. And also, how can we afford it? My budget for the next 5 years is $200. How can I afford, we're getting, I'm hearing those at conferences and stuff as well. So, but I would say we can't let those things stop us.
That's right.
We can't let the fear we can figure those things out. Pull in teenagers from the student ministry into your ministry and say, I'm trying to figure out this, help me with it. And set up a weekly meeting. Like that can be done.
Yes.
The money end, maybe I'll offend some people here, but I would say, like, there's a couple of things there. One, look at what you are spending money on, and do you really need to spend money on flowers in the hallway?
Yep.
Or do you need to spend money on curriculum and media content that would, take me out for a second. I'm not saying you have to spend money with me. I'm just saying recognize your budget and see if you can maneuver your budget a different way. I'd also say do a car wash or a bake sale or like what?
There you go.
If you need, a computer to run your presentation software to share the gospel with the kids in your church, I'm about to get passionate. Let's do a freaking car wash to raise the money to do it. Like,
absolutely.
What is the holdup here? Or go to your church and say, hey, we need $2,000 to get a computer and a software and a subscription to a media license, and this will cover us for the next year. And these two will cover us for the next 5 years, and this will cover us for a year. We need $2,000. Would everybody pitch in? Can we, come to our bake sale? We're going to do a barbecue. We're going to do something. So I probably get a little bit impatient when I hear at conferences, well, we don't have the money. I'm not saying you have to spend it with me. That this isn't a money ploy to get you to spend money with me.
Right.
Take that factor out. Stop being lazy, church. Like, let's go.
Yes.
Like, come on. Like, this is important stuff, and we're losing the battle. Let's go. Sorry, Tom, I'm going to get on the soapbox.
Hey, that's all right, because, I'm always telling the people that I work with when I'm coaching, as I'm doing the leadership coaching stuff, I'm always saying everything's figure outable. And if you really want it, let's figure out a way to get it. If you really need it, let's figure out a way to get that need filled. There are look, I'll get just as passionate and say, do you really believe God is a God who has all the provisions and will follow through on his promise that says, I will give you all that you need? If you don't believe that, then what are you doing in ministry? I'm sorry. I watched Jesus take a Lunchable and feed 5,000 people.
Right.
Well, I didn't personally watch him. I'm not that old. I'm old, but I'm not that old. But anyway.
Right. I mean, I do think also too that, I didn't mean to get on this soapbox, but we'll have people, we are trying, and other vendors in the space are trying to reduce the cost and reduce the cost and reduce the cost. And we're still getting people going, I'm a church of 100 people. We don't
Yeah.
have any money. Can you give us a big, huge discount and make the whole thing $5? I mean, we could, yes, but I would say, do you walk into Chick-fil-A and say, "I only have $5?" Well, I'm sorry, sir, the sandwich is $10.
Yeah.
I mean,
Good luck with
what do
that.
you I mean, we have the app that you get discounts on and that you earn points on, same kinda thing. So, may I don't know. I don't mean to I'm totally picking on ministry leaders here.
Well,
And,
but no, but
you
it,
might not ask me back, but
nah,
I'm probably being more real because my heart is so passionate about seeing people come to know the Lord and being discipled that and we're losing ground in the battle in our culture. Churches are on decline, kids ministries, I mean, we're seeing burnout across the board. Like
absolutely.
like, it w I'm in the battle. Are you guys? Like, let's go.
Yeah.
I'm picking up the sword and fighting.
Yep.
And
And there are ways that you can partner with other churches. You can get people. I mean, there's all, like I said, I've sat with a bunch of leaders as I've coached them and I've walked them through, okay, so stop saying what we can't do. What can we do?
yeah, yeah.
And you may not have the full production. You don't need all the stage lights. You don't need huge screens. You don't need a fancy projector or even a fancy computer for all that matter. Um, there are some things though that we need to stop doing, and we're jumping all over our script, and that's fine of our questions here. But since we're here and we're talking about what leaders that have a small budget can do or limited tech on hand, there are lots of simple tools and inexpensive tools that you can go out and get. There's refurbished things out there that you can get that will get you through the season. There are you can get people to sponsor items in your ministry. Sorry, I'm answering the question I was going to ask you, but you'll probably have some more thoughts on this. But I do believe if we believe we have the God of abundance, then we have to stop saying, I don't have enough money, time, volunteers. All of those things hold us back. They're limiting beliefs. Yes, as a burnout coach, those are things that often are symptoms of going towards burnout because you only see you've put blinders on to all the potential and all you're seeing is the woe is me. Woe is me, I don't have, I don't have. And Jesus is saying, hey, look, I've come to give life abundant. I have all the resources you need. Look what I can do with a little. Just ask me to multiply it. Be faithful with the little. Do what you can do and let God add to it. There are churches down the street that are bigger than you that probably have technology just sitting on a shelf that they would give you. But you've got to have the courage to go ask, hey, could you help me? There are churches out there that will help each other. And if they won't help you, well, then pray fire down on. No, just kidding. Oh, okay. Now we're really going off the rails. All right. So what are some things? I mean, you've mentioned you guys have resources for $5. So that's cheaper than going to McDonald's and getting well, now I guess you can get a $5 Happy Meal or something, but at Wendy's you get a $5 bag. So for $5 you can get some videos and you could use those and you could show your kids something so that you've got a transitional piece. What are some other things that leaders can do if they've got a smaller budget or they have limited tech ability?
Yeah. I would say, everybody's familiar with Canva and things like that. So I would say use graphics from our website and bring them into Canva and you can create other graphics
There
too.
you go.
Meaning what if you spent $5 on a social graphic from our site and now and you can bring it into Canva because it's all editable. Now you have a professional look and you can edit, backspace and put whatever text you want. But we've kind of created a framework for you
There
to
you go.
where there's a professional look, but then you add your own text.
And you
So I
just
would
saved
say
a
if you're
ton of time on that.
correct, and I would suggest that route over you making it from scratch in Canva
Oh yeah.
because it's going to save you time because you're probably not a designer.
Yep.
And you need to be spending your time doing ministry, not designing graphics.
Yep.
That's what we're good at. You be on the ground there ministering to your people. So can we provide
I love it.
resources for you to change pool party, to swim fest? Yes. We've done that. So I would say from a visual media standpoint, that's some of what I would do is don't create everything from scratch, because you do want it to look excellent. So if you
Yes.
took a base of a graphic that's done by a designer and then kind of edit it to your context, that would be a good, more affordable route. I would say if you have a small budget, start somewhere. So, like I would say, if you need to roll in screens, or maybe start with one TV that you can get at Walmart for $200 or $300, and and start there until you can go to the next step.
Yep.
I don't really like to suggest people bring in their own computers and run in their own computers. I don't like that route. But if
Yeah.
that's the step that you need to take the step and then work towards the
Yeah.
next thing.
Yeah.
So I think that would be my suggestion is start somewhere.
Yeah.
Start with the more affordable things and then work up. But don't stay there.
Right.
Continue to work up.
Yes.
I hope I'm answering your question okay.
Yeah. You are. I mean, the whole thing is there's no shame in starting simple, because simple will scale if you're faithful and you do that for a little while, and then start looking at the next step and the next step. So just think of it in phases, really. Consider the phases. Start with what you can do. Stop saying, well, I can't or I don't have.
Can I share my screen?
I don't. Well,
I don't know if you can make me a co-host. I don't mean to derail you. I'm just trying to I just maybe want to give folks an example
okay.
of something.
Let me see. Yeah, this is totally on the fly, folks. So
Yeah.
hang
guys.
hang tight with me, and we will see if we can make this happen here. Let's see.
Yeah,
here.
just
There we
make
go.
me a
Make a
co-host
co-host.
on
There
the-
you go.
Yeah. All right. So let's see if I can share this. Sorry, I'm putting you on the spot here.
That's all good. That's all good.
see
So you'll have
I
to, if you're wondering, how am I going to see what he's showing me? Well, we go to our Kid Ministry Collective YouTube channel, and you can watch this video podcast instead of just listening to it. So you may not have been aware. So it's a good time to tell
I don't know
people.
if it's going to let me.
It should. I thought I enabled the permissions to, let's see here. There we go. All right. That should do it. I changed one more setting in there. That should allow you to go and do it. Hopefully.
Let's see here. Sorry, Tom. I don't mean.
You're all good. You're all good.
Okay.
But yeah.
All right.
There
we
go.
See this.
Yes, we can. Yep.
Okay.
We can see it.
All right. So this is our website. Now, again, you don't have to spend money with us. I just want to kind of give you some tools and some things that you can kind of think about. Okay. Yeah. So this is.
Now let me stop you right here. So if you're listening, you go to churchvisuals.com/ready-made.
So if you go to churchvisuals.com, this is our website.
Yep.
And then over here, you click on Ready-Made Media.
There you go.
This will take you right into the library. Okay. And what I've done here is I've changed the audience to kids. You guys are kids ministry leaders.
That's right.
And then under type, I'm just going to click on ministry graphics, and then also social media.
Look at that.
So
I'll tell you, folks, there's some clear, really sharp looking graphics on here.
And so let's choose maybe this one right here. Okay. Let's see if this comes up. Okay.
You're invited to kids' church. Ooh,
so with this graphic, this graphic is $8 on our website. Okay. It's going to include a Photoshop file, but if you don't know Photoshop, that's okay. I don't know if all the samples are going to come up with our internet, Tom, but let me refresh this so you can kind of see if it'll come up. You can see all the sizes.
There we go. But yeah, so you've got title graphics, social media. Look at this.
So I don't know if we'll see if our internet will stay stable here, but the bottom are social media sizes. Okay. So here's my point. you can bring these title graphics. So for $8, you can bring this title graphic into your either Canva, if that's what you use, or Photoshop, or any type of graphic design software. Okay. There they come. Okay. Or even your Instagram, let's just say. Okay. So let's say you're pulling these down into your Instagram. This is your first image here.
Yep.
And you can create a carousel to where you slide over to the next one, and in Instagram you can put join us Sunday at 9 a.m. So now you have a professionally designed graphic.
Yep.
And an Instagram carousel that has kids church, and then you've created a carousel and then put even in Instagram. You don't even need a graphic design software to do this. In Instagram or Facebook, put your text on top of that graphic. Just add text and put it on top. Now you have a carousel to put on your story on
awesome.
your kids' on your kids' Instagram channel, or the same. So, let's say this is Sunday morning, and you have this. Hey, welcome. You're at kids' church. This could be a slide that when your kids walk in, and then you can add anything you want in your presentation software on this blank slide. Game time, sit down, happy whatever.
Right.
You can add to that. The reason why I'm showing you this isn't a sales pitch. This is to say, this is doable. This is reachable for you. You can do this. You can up your visual media game, and you can look great, you can save time, and you can visually communicate the gospel in a high quality way. There you go, Tom. That was my demo for your.
I love it. I love it. And so again, if you want to see what we were talking about, just go to go to YouTube and search for Kids Ministry Collective. You'll see the podcast recording of this episode on there, and you can watch it and see the graphics, or just head over to churchvisuals.com and check them out. Because again, every leader feels overwhelmed at times. Every leader, and especially when it comes to media and technology and all this stuff. I know there's a lot of leaders out there who are just not tech savvy, or they want to be, but they're not really. But I also know there's a lot of leaders that are feeling overwhelmed. They're feeling worn out. They just came off a Bible school week and they're tired. Why not lean into some of these kind of things and give yourself some margin? And I'm always saying it. If you don't have margin, you don't have mission. No margin, no mission. If you want to push yourself to burnout, convince yourself that you have to be all and end all. You have to do it all. No, you don't. Those are lies, and shame on you for believing them. I did it for a while. You got to break that chain, get rid of that stinking thinking, and go, hey, there are groups out there. And this, Carl, let me tell you guys, I know Carl. He's one of my close friends, and he cares about the church. He cares about you as ministry leaders. And when, don't ask for free stuff, because then Carl can't stay in business and do things, and he can't continue to help people. But he helps a lot of big churches so that it gives him some margin so he can help some of the smaller ones too. And that's why him and his team, who are insanely talented, I know some of them, and they're using the gifts that God has given them to bless the ministry community. So lean into these things, find ways to do it. Yeah, skip some of the extra things. Go a few weeks without goldfish. The kids won't die. And, get those donated and use that money to buy some graphics so that your kids will go, wow, this is cool. Because you want them doing that, because you want them to keep coming back. All right, off my soapbox. Thanks for showing that. I think people need to go and look and see what's possible. And when you see what's possible, then you're like, oh, I can do this. Yes. Both of us would say, yes, you can. So there you go. Whether you have a small, tiny budget, whether whatever, don't worry about it. Just get out there and make it happen, because God can bless it and use it in incredible ways. All right. Boy, I know we've been on soapboxes, but we're going to climb on one more, because I've seen this discussion in multiple Facebook groups. I've seen it in children's pastors' Facebook groups. I've seen it in youth pastor Facebook groups. I'm going to warn everybody right now. It makes me mad. that I'm still seeing it. But I see leaders talking about how they're downloading videos off of YouTube to use during worship or to use during their lesson time. I'm going to let you speak first. You probably say everything I'm going to say anyway, so you'll probably save us some time. But what's wrong with that practice? Because there's a lot of people out there that think, well, I don't have any money, so I'm just going to go to YouTube and I'm going to download. We're going to just stream off of there, and that's how we're going to do our worship sets.
Yeah.
All right, I just pulled the cord.
All right. I don't know where to start on this one because I do see it a lot. And if you'd have told me a few years ago that I would kind of be the, a voice in this and kind of the YouTube police, I wouldn't have believed you. But okay, and I will preface it with the same thing. I was just visiting one of the largest churches in the country, probably a month or two ago, and it was very clear that lyric videos that they used. Where did you get those? I'm not sure. It was, and then it took 2 questions to ask that they pulled it off of YouTube. So
Wow.
I think that a lot of ministry leaders fall in 2 camps. One, they either just don't know,
Yep,
and
it's true.
I don't blame you. That's okay. If you're listening to this now, you know.
You will know.
Yeah. So that's camp number 1. Camp number 2, I honestly can't understand. Camp number 2 is and you still do.
Right.
So if I talk to people at conferences and I gently try to say, "Hey, let me stop you there. I'm not sure if you know, but you can't pull stuff off of YouTube."
Yeah.
Well, I know, but
Uh,
I'm sorry. I don't know how to respond to that. But so next time I'm in a grocery store, I'm going to take my whole cart, fill it up with groceries, and walk out. I'm sorry, sir, you got to pay for that. Oh, I know, but
and
like
keep
it
on.
doesn't work that way,
No.
right? And so I would gently. I feel like I'm totally hammering straight leaders. Like,
Hey, it's
I'm
my
even doing
podcast,
like
and
mocking voice.
we're both doing well, but we're speaking the truth in love, and I hope my listeners know me enough to know that I'm speaking the truth in love, and I've invited you to do this too, because this is all right. Look, if people want to know why God's not blessing the church, it's because there's a lot of sin in our camp. Achan thought it was
Yeah.
just a couple little things he stole and put under his tent.
Right.
I'm sorry.
So
You said it nicer than I would say it because I flat out tell people if you're taking stuff off of download, off of YouTube, you're stealing from your brothers and sisters. I'll say it again. You're stealing from your brothers and sisters because there are people out there, musicians, Jeff McCullough from Jumpstart 3, Yancey, All Star Kids, my buddy Simon Perry over in the UK, Patty Cake, Seeds Worship, CM Worship. Man, I'm probably leaving out a bunch. A lot of these people are my friends. I count them as friends. But they're more importantly my brother and sisters in Christ. They work hard. They're trying to support their families. They're trying to also minister the gospel. And basically, you're stealing from them. You're taking money out of their pocket when you do this. Sorry, I just probably.
yeah. So I agree with you. So here's kind of how the process worked. And I did this at the last conference I spoke at. I kind of peeled back the curtain and kind of walked through some of the money. So and I'll do that a little bit. So for one video for our site or that is sold on marketplaces, I'm paying for a video producer. I'm paying for voiceover talent. I'm paying for illustration if it needs. I'm paying for marketing of that. Probably all in on a video, I'm probably between $500 to $700 a video when you count multiple things. Okay, so if I sell that video on our website for $10, right? Somebody do the math for me. That's like what, 70 copies? So I have to sell 70 copies of that one video in order to break even. Okay. So one, that's difficult because some will be hits and some are complete duds. It's just how it happens. I mean,
That's
no
the way
matter
it
how
works.
hard we try, some of them are duds, right? So, $700. So that's how many copies it takes for you for me to break even on kind of a normal setting. Okay. Now, can we sometimes get that a little bit lower? Sure. Is it sometimes higher? Yes. So so it takes 70 times for me to sell that to make my money back. Now, that's not including profit for me to make the next one. Okay. If that video were to go on YouTube and 700 churches take it and move it and distribute it out, then now you are taking money that I could have been making other resources for,
Right.
and for free.
Yep.
And this process does happen throughout our space.
Yes.
Where either we put something on YouTube to promote ourselves so that we can sell more to make more resources.
Mm-hmm.
Or another thing that happens is, in a case of Yancey or in a case of others, is somebody else will take that down from YouTube and then walk over here and put it on their YouTube channel. Yancey doesn't know that they've done that. She has no way to look to see
right
that's happened. And now you've distributed that Yancey video or whoever's to hundreds of other churches.
Right.
Therefore, Yancey's not receiving that money. Seeds is not. Doorpost is not. All Star Kids is not. Like, I'm not. And so a backstory here, like Yancey comes to us to make some of her lyric videos. Well, if you take from her, if you steal from YouTube from her, then she's not making money. Therefore, she's not spending money with me to make more resources for her. So you've stolen from her, you've stolen from me, and you're doing something that's wrong.
Yeah.
And and you're also robbing me and Yancey of the blessing of blessing you. Like, if you were to come to us and say, hey, our church can't afford this, but we can afford this, I guarantee you that me and Yancey and others will be like, here you go, or can we figure something out, or how can we bless you? How can we make this work?
I have seen all of you do that.
Yeah. So
I've witnessed it
you've
myself.
stolen and you've robbed us the blessing of blessing you.
Yeah.
So it really does hurt and sting. And to be honest, like, even with our economy, we're going to go out of business if we can't get resources to make more resources. I mean,
exactly. We're going to end up, all of these wonderful people are going to have to stop and do other things because they can't support doing what they do. And I've looked at people right in the eye and say, what's your integrity worth?
Right.
Is it worth, I mean, you could go to your site, there's other sites out there, and pay $10 for a worship video that you'll own and you can use for perpetuity, and you're going to get your money's worth. And even then, that person is only going to get a small little royalty out of it. So it's not like everybody's sitting here, these people are not independently wealthy people. They're trusting God. Many of them have by faith ministries that they're trusting God for the resources to do what they got to do. And I just feel like we've got to keep calling out the church. I do it all the time on Facebook groups. And I've had people message me and say, get off my back, stop it. I'm doing what I feel is right. Well, I'm sorry, but the Bible says that's sin, and you're stealing, and that's sin. And then you want God to bless your ministry, and you wonder why he's not. Well, because there's sin in your camp. So stop it, man. Just stop.
Yeah. But it comes out of passion. I mean, it comes out of, I mean, you've heard me get loud in this episode with you, and that's because I wouldn't care if I didn't care so much. If I didn't care that we're taking from other ministries that I know will resource you well, then I wouldn't care. Fine, go on, steal it. I don't care. But I care because, and me and you know these people personally. Right. You know me personally. You know others and vendors in the space personally. These are real people with real hearts for ministry, with real hearts from the church. that we are trying to resource you very well. I just put a post on Facebook recently that I got 2 or 3 notifications in the same week that a subscription service that I have is raising their prices. Well, in all transparency, at Church Visuals, we haven't raised our prices at all,
Right.
really, in 10
Yeah.
years. The custom media that we produce, we haven't really raised those base rates at all. In fact, with our ready-made, we decreased the library multiple times. We've grandfathered people in. We've given discount. Like, that's not to pat ourselves. That's just to say we get it. Like, the economy
Yeah.
is
It's
rough
hard.
right now,
It is hard.
and vendors are really trying to make it affordable for you. So the YouTube thing is a tough pill to swallow because,
Yep.
like, please support the minute. I have trouble saying this because it sounds like a sales pitch or a poor pitiful me. Please give me money. It's not that. I don't care if you spend money with me. I just don't want you to do the wrong thing.
Yep.
And
Exactly.
I want the people in our space to be blessed so that they can bless you.
Absolutely. And we as leaders need to be people of integrity. We need to do what brings glory to God. It does not bring glory to God when we take from others. So if you're hard up, I know that every one of these people that we've mentioned and more, if you wrote them or you talk to them or you come up to them at a conference and you share your heart, and if you have tried things, if you have tried to go get resources, if you tried to get sponsorships, and if you've given up other things so that you can get, look, you can talk to them and share with them, because I know I was in a place once in a small church, and I went to a couple of people. I'm not going to mention their names, and I said, "Hey, I'm trying to spend some money in these couple of areas. I don't have money for this. Where are some resources that I can get at a low cost or no cost?" And they pointed me in the right direction. Some of it they gave of themselves. Others they said, "Hey, I know this. You can go here. You can go there. This is what you can do." But I'm thankful. I can say this, I have never sat there and gone to YouTube and tried to stream my stuff off of YouTube. And I won't put stuff up there. I will tell people, don't put stuff up there where people have access to it, because then you are giving something away that you don't own as well.
It is not a public platform. YouTube is for personal use. It is not intended for you to pull YouTube up
Yep.
on your big screen in your large group setting and just play a YouTube video.
Right.
One, that's very dangerous with ads.
Yes.
Two, well, we have
for
YouTube
sure.
Premium. It's still not intended for that.
Yes.
And 2 or 3, like, please support the artist.
Yep.
They work
sure.
they work very hard to produce stuff for you, and please support them.
Yeah. Absolutely.
It does go a long way.
And why? Because the gospel matters and our integrity matters. And, so I think that's huge. I think that's huge. The use of visuals, it can be really a powerful thing for they draw people in, they stir the emotion, they create a sense of environment that makes the heart more receptive. And so we need to use it the right way. And I'm so thankful for church visuals, for you, and for all those that we've mentioned, because you do help us. And so again, this was not a commercial for church visuals. We wanted to do this episode because we want to help people get better at what they do. We want you to, again, whatever you do in word or deed, do it for the glory of God. So that means using video, using media. We want it to matter. We want it to make a difference. We want the gospel going out. And I think that's huge. So you guys have a lot of, we've mentioned a couple of times, a lot of ready-made stuff, a lot of media that churches can use. How can people find this again? We're going to put links in our show notes, and we're going to share this. If you're one of our newsletter subscribers, we're going to send out some information about church visuals, and in one of the upcoming newsletters. So be watching for that. But help us out on what's the best way to get access to all this stuff.
Yeah, so churchvisuals.com is our website. You can email me if you have any questions, carl@churchvisuals.com. You're welcome to reach out to me at all. And then I would also encourage you to check out some friends of mine. So go to Yancey Ministries directly, yanceyministries.com or doorpostsongs.com or seedskidsworship.com.
Mm-hmm.
Check those guys out because they will get the money that you spend with them, they'll get all of it in order to create more resources for you guys.
Yeah.
So I would encourage you to check those guys out as well. As far as a la carte media, we're probably one of the only folks that are doing kids and student content. And so you can check us out again at churchvisuals.com. We're also in other places, but that's the best way to find us. And then we also serve a lot of curriculum. So we're kind of the back end producer for your Awana or Answers in Genesis and others. And so we kind of produce a lot of content for them. So check them.
Cool. That is really great. All right. Well, that's going to wrap up this episode of the Kids Ministry Collective podcast. And again, Carl, thanks for being here with us. I sure have appreciated the conversation. It's been a good, passionate one.
Thanks, buddy.
All right. That's going to wrap this up. And I hope that you'll stay tuned for another episode real soon. Thanks for listening to this edition of the Kids Ministry Collective podcast. We hope that it's helped and encouraged you. If you would, support our podcast by continuing to share it with other leaders. And if you haven't already, hey, please subscribe and leave us a review wherever you listen to this podcast. We look forward to hearing from you how this podcast has helped and sharpened your skills in ministries. So let us know on your Facebook page or head over to kmccoach.net and share with us there. And thanks again for listening to the Kid Ministry Collective podcast.